Shabbat Shalom. We begin our worship on page 128 with Ma Yafeh Hayom. How lovely today is. Shabbat Shalom.
Ma Yafeh Hayom, Shabbat Shalom. Ma Yafeh Hayom, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Ma Yafeh Hayom, Shabbat Shalom. Ma Yafeh Hayom, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. We continue now with Romemu in the middle of page 135. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu ve'ishtachavu lehar kodsho. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu ve'ishtachavu lehar kodsho. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu romemu. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu romemu. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu ve'ishtachavu lehar kodsho. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu ve'ishtachavu lehar kodsho. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu romemu. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu romemu. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu ve'ishtachavu lehar kodsho. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu ve'ishtachavu lehar kodsho. Please join me now in Lecha Dodi as we welcome the Sabbath bride on pages 138 and 139. Lecha Dodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha Dodi
And we now continue with the lighting of the Shabbat candles.
As these Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so may we, by our lives, give light to all who behold us, as their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light, so may we in our own day be among those who kindle light. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat.
We continue on page 125. Where has this week vanished? Is it lost forever? Will I ever recover anything from it? The joy of life, the unexpected victory, the realized hope, the task accomplished? Will I ever be able to banish the memory of pain, the sting of defeat, the heaviness of boredom? On this day, let me keep for a while what must drift away. On this day, let me be free of the burdens that must return. On this day, Shabbat abide. Help me to withdraw for a while from the flight of time, contain the retreat of the hours and days from the grasp of frantic life. Let me learn to pause, if only for this day. Let me find peace on this day. Let me enter into a quiet world this day. On this day, Shabbat abide.
Continue now on page 144. Yitkadal veyitkadash shmei Rabba.
Amen.
Be'alma divrach hirutei v'yamlich malchutei.
B'chayechon ufyomechon ufchayei chol Beit Yisrael. Bagala uvizman kariv.
Veimeru, Amen. Yehei Shmei Rabba mevorach, le'olam ul'olmei almaya, yitbarach, yitbarach ve'yishtabach, v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam ve'yitnaseh, ve'yitadar ve'yitale ve'yitalal, Shemei dekudsha b'richu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, damiran be'alma, v'imeru, Amen.
We continue with Baruch Hu, our call to worship on page 146. Please rise if you are able. Page 148. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bidvaro ma'ariv aravim, v'chokhmah poteach she'arim, uvitfuna meshane itim, umachalif et hazmanim, umisader et hakochavim, v'mishmerotehem barakir kirtzono. Borei yom v'layla, golel or mipnei choshech, v'choshech mipnei or, uma'avir yom umevi layla, umavdil ben yom uven layla, Adonai tzavaot shemo, el chai v'kayam tamid imloch aleinu leolam va'ed, baruch atah Adonai, hama'ariv aravim. Page 150.
Ahavat olam beit Yisrael, amcha ahavta, Torah u'mitzvot, chukim u'mishpatim, otanu limadeta. Al ken Adonai Eloheinu, b'shochbeinu v'kumeinu, nasiach b'chukecha, v'nismach b'divrei Toratcha, u'b'mitzvotecha, le'olam, le'olam va'ed. Ahavat olam beit Yisrael, amcha ahavta, Torah u'mitzvot, chukim u'mishpatim, otanu limadeta. Ki hem chayenu be'orech yameinu, uvahem neged yomam v'layla, ve'ahavatcha al tasir mimenu le'olamim, le'olamim. Ahavat olam beit Yisrael, amcha ahavta, Torah u'mitzvot, chukim u'mishpatim, otanu limadeta. Baruch atah Adonai, ohev amo Yisrael, ohev amo Yisrael. Ahavat olam beit Yisrael, amcha ahavta, Torah u'mitzvot, chukim u'mishpatim, otanu limadeta.
So invite us to take a deep breath in and exhale out. Take another deep breath in as we breathe in that sense of Shabbat. And exhale out, Mishagas. Another deep breath in as we breathe in that sense of shalom, of wholeness and completeness. And exhale out all that negative energy within us.
Open up our eyes, teach us how to live, fill our hearts with joy and all the love you have to give. את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך, ודיברת בם בשבתך, בביתך, ובלכתך בדרך, ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם. Together on page 155. Love your God with every heartbeat, with every breath, with every conscious act. Keep in mind the words I command you today. Teach them to your children. Talk about them at work. Whether you are tired or you are rested, let them guide the work of your hands. Keep them in the forefront of your vision. Do not leave them at the doorway of your house or outside your gate. They are reminders to do all of my mitzvot, so that you can be holy for God. I am Adonai, your God. I led you out of Egypt to become your God. I am Adonai, your God.
We continue on page 157. Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before ever we stood at Sinai's foot, that wherever we go, it is eternally Egypt, that there is a better place, a promised land, that the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness, that there is no way to get from here to there except by joining hands, marching together. We continue on page 158 with Mi Chamocha. We continue on page 162 with Vishamru.
השמיים ואת הארץ, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. וביום השביעי שבת וינפש, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם, לדורותם ברית עולם.
We are a people in whom the past endures, in whom the present is inconceivable without moments gone by. The Exodus lasted a moment enduring forever. What happened once upon a time happens all the time. We continue now with the central portion of our worship with our tefillah. Please rise if you are able.
Adonai sefatai tiftach ufi yagi tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu ve'Elohei avoteinu ve'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, ve'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, ve'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor ve'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, ve'Koneh Hakol, וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה, מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן. ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם בעזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי הכל אתה רב להושיע, מוריד הטל, מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיי הכל ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר. מי כמוך בעל גבורות, ומיתו מלך, מלך ממית ומחיה, ומצמיח ישועה, ונאמן אתה להחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני, מחיי הכל. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יהללוך סלה. ברוך אתה אדוני, האל הקדוש.
Days pass and the years vanish, and we walk sightless among miracles. God, fill our eyes with seeing and our minds with knowing. Let there be moments when your presence, like lightning, illumines the darkness in which we walk. Help us to see wherever we gaze that the bush burns unconsumed, and we, clay touched by God, will reach out for holiness and exclaim in wonder, how filled with awe is this place, and we did not know it. Blessed is the Eternal One, the Holy God. Page 173. We join together. May these hours of rest and renewal open our hearts to joy and our minds to truth. May all who struggle find rest on this day. May all who suffer find solace. May all who hurt find healing on this day. May all who despair find purpose. May all who hunger find fulfillment on this day. And may this day fulfill its promise. Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh ha-Shabbat. Page 175 on the bottom of the page. You are with us in our prayer, our love, and our doubt, and our longing to feel your presence and do your will. You are the still, clear voice within us. Therefore, O God, when doubt troubles us, when anxiety makes us tremble, when pain clouds the mind, we look inward for the answer to our prayers. There may we find you, and there find courage, insight, and endurance. And let our worship bring us closer to one another, that all Israel and all who seek you may find new strength for your service. Baruch atah Adonai, she'otcha levadcha bi'ir'ah na'avod. Page 177. God of goodness, we give thanks for the gift of life, wonder beyond words, for the awareness of soul, our light within, for the world around us so filled with beauty, for the richness of the earth which day by day sustains us. For all these and more, we offer thanks. Baruch atah Adonai, hatov shimcha lacher na'eh lehodot.
Shalom Rav, Shalom Rav, Shalom Rav, Al Yisrael Amcha. Shalom Rav, Shalom Rav, Al Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav. Ki ata u'melech Adon lechol hashalom. Ki ata u'melech Adon lechol hashalom. Shalom Rav, Shalom Rav, Shalom Rav, Al Yisrael Amcha. Shalom Rav, Shalom Rav, Al Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Leolam. V'tov beinecha levarech et amcha Yisrael b'chol עת ובכל שעה בשלומך, בשלומך. Shalom Rav, Shalom Rav, Shalom Rav, Al Yisrael Amcha. Shalom Rav, Shalom Rav, Al Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav.
I invite us now to take a deep breath in and exhale out as we now reflect on that makor shalom, that source of peace that lies within each one of us, as we pause now in silent reflection. We now focus our energies toward those who are ill and in need of healing. On this Shabbat, we think of Sally Amarendez, Chana Bat Miriam, Eliana Bat Chana, Abby Perbaker, Dr. Arnold Berliner, Robert Berg, Sarah Beinstock, Sandy Beinstock, Rich Burns, Esther Burton, Dr. Ed Kahn, Bob Kant, Nicole Chapman, Hadley Crane, Celeste Donley, Elise Epstein, Peter Fadum, Jason Fishoff, Carolyn Franklin, Barbara Friedman, Sandy Friedman, Holly Fugit, Betty Garcia, Mary Gold, Jennifer Guerrera, Courtney Hansen, Lee Henderson, Elizabeth Hausman, Barbara Jackowitz, Rita Kane, Jerry Karp, Evelyn Katz-McCosker, Petrus Lacey, Liatzvia Batliba Ve'elchanan, Janice Lucero, Young Sung Lot, Father Bill Leninger, Shirley Lerner, Gary Levine, Penny Levine, Ernie Lindley, Bobby Lotman, Austin Lucero, Eva Misley, Peggy Monroe, Brad Parkins, Gabrielle Pollock, Harriet Reisner, Esther Richmond, Stan Rudman, Marilyn Rudy, Richard Rusnak, Dolores Sams Hoy, Laura Sanders, Don Shine, Corrine Silverman, Sybil Summer, Grace Tannen, Donna Thyman, Famtai Trang, Martha Walker, Teresa Walsh, Claire Seitzel Watson, Carol Wachtenheim, Rosanna Wershing, Jeannie Watson, Nancy Weisenfeld, Karen Williams, Sue Witten, Sherman Wong, as we now pray for their better health. We continue now with the word of Torah. This week's parashah is the first we have in the Torah, Bereshit, in the beginning. As much as it talks about creation and Adam and Eve, it also introduces us to their sons, Cain and Abel. Chapter 4, verses 8 through 11 state the following. And it was while they were in the field, and Cain rose against Abel his brother, and killed him. And Yahweh said to Cain, "Where is Abel your brother?" And he said, "I don't know. Am I my brother's watchman, keeper?" And he said, "What have you done? The sound. Your brother's blood is crying to me from the ground. And now you're cursed from the ground that opened its mouth to take your brother's blood from your hand." The Torah uses the word brother to describe Abel's relationship to Cain 6 times in just 4 verses. It appears like a haunting refrain, a biblical precursor to a scary moment, like the scary music that foreshadows a murderous scene in a movie. We are left with no doubt that something sacred and pure, a brotherly bond, is about to be shattered. And Cain said to his brother Abel, the sentence is left hanging, ominously incomplete. There is a pause in mid-sentence, and then a terrifying act of raw rage ends with the death of a brother at the hands of his brother. Cain and Abel are only the first siblings in a long lineage of troubled family connections in the Torah, especially in the book of Genesis. Though no others end in actual bloodshed, the odds for biblical brotherly love appear to be quite a long shot. We can move right down the family tree and discover one failure after another. Jacob and Esau, Joseph and all his brothers, Rachel and Leah as well. Not until we meet Ephraim and Manasseh, Joseph's sons, practically at the end of Genesis, do we encounter brothers who, as far as we can tell, get along with one another. We know precious little about these boys and their relationship, but the Torah tells us that Jacob gave them this blessing. "By you shall the people of Israel give their blessing, saying, May God make you like Ephraim and Manasseh." What was so special about these boys that Jewish parents, even today, ask God to make their sons like Ephraim and Manasseh? Perhaps it is less about the deeds of this famous duo and more about the relationship with one another. They are the first brothers in our biblical account to represent unity and harmony, always joined as a pair. Isn't the ability to live in harmony the hope of all parents for their children? What's important is not that they achieve greatness and wealth, stature and success, but that they be there for each other, through good times and bad, love each other always, and care for one another deeply. Most, if not all, relationships are messy and complicated, very seldom straightforward and simple, like the lives of which they are integral parts. And yet, it is precisely in the messy dynamics of our relationships with family, friends, and others that we can discover significant moral insights for ourselves. As my colleague Rabbi Greg Wolf states, each of us is Cain, and each of us is Abel too. Our lives are minefields, booby-trapped by feelings of inadequacy, insecurity, jealousy, competition, and even deep desires for revenge, just waiting to explode. The Torah peels away the veneer of civility we wear like a fig leaf to reveal to us these seething emotions of being human that exist in everyone just below the surface. Underneath it all, we are just like Cain, who wasn't entirely able when it comes to relationships. We seek acceptance, appreciation, and love. At our core, we yearn to be complete and at peace like Ephraim and Manasseh. But we must first untangle ourselves from the knotty ties that bind us to Cain and Abel. We do have choices, and this ultimately is a lesson we can learn from Cain and Abel. Peter Pitzley writes in his book on the myths of Genesis, Our Father's Wells, in the reality of linear time, no one ever gets a chance to go back and do it again. Once the apple has been eaten, Eve cannot unswallow it. Once Adam and Eve know they are naked, neither of them can return to the innocence before their eyes, quote unquote, were opened. Within this construct of linear time, the patriarchal imagination dwells unflinchingly on choice as its central existential concern. What do we do? How do we act when time is so unforgiving? Well, we be sucked in by the swirling forces of violence, hatred, and jealousy that animate the relationship of Cain and Abel, and in fact, still drive so much of the world's conflict? Or will we be inspired to live our lives as an affirmative response to Cain's challenging question to God, which hangs in the air unanswered? Am I my brother's keeper? What follows in the Torah seems to be replying to that answer, but ultimately only if we have the power to make that choice, to choose to be our brother's keeper, our sister's keeper, our beloved's keeper. Each and every day, even more so now than ever before, we see conflict and violence all around us, in so many corners of the globe, in our own communities, and even perhaps in families that we know. In our country, at this very moment, we are in conflict and we are divided. And being in the midst of a pandemic has made things even more challenging. But we have a choice. We could choose to know that all lives are interconnected, that our fates are shared. We can choose to know that we all are siblings. For we must know that in order to bring healing to the world, we must be able to be each other's keepers and watchers. If there is one way to respond to the pain that we are feeling all around us, it is to recommit to being each other's keeper. We are responsible for each other, and if we acted like it consistently, it would make all the difference in our world. Power does not lie with the other. Our power grows when we express ourselves, when we listen to another point of view, when we expand our thoughts to include even the stranger. To be a sister or brother to another is about being open-hearted to their point of view, giving them enough space to be included, and separating out one's opinion from the person before us. Boy, is that hard to do. But can you imagine an America that is united and not divisive? That hope seems to be getting farther and farther away, but the key to bringing us closer is to see each other as our brother, as our sister, as our beloved. Our future depends on it. Ken Yehi Ratzon, may this be so.
Yai dai 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 dai, yai dai dai dai, yai dai 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 dai, dai 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 dai, yai dai 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 dai, yai dai 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 dai, yai dai dai.
We continue with Elena on page 586. Please rise if you're able.
Aleinu l'shabeach la'adon hakol, la'tet gedula le'otzer breshit, shehu notei shamayim ve'oser haaretz, u'moshev yikaro b'shamayim mima'al, u'shchinatu zo begofei meromim, u'Eloheinu einod, va'anachnu korim, u'mishtachavim u'modim, לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו echad.
On this Shabbat, we think of those who have died recently and in years past. We especially think of those that are grieving the first year, the Shana of mourning. As we think of Gary Ackman, Marion Bergoffen, Tony Berliner, Raymond Berman, Rabbi Samuel Brody, Carrie Broding, Alexander Burstein, Stephen Ronnie Bush, Idel Kagan, Dr. Bernard Cohen, Dory Cohen, Rabbi Sissy Corin, Vivian David, Rebecca Lynn Decker, Benny Schumann Donald, Jean Donnelly, Vladimir Doktorovich, Bert Epstein, Glenn Farber, Beverly Furman, Marv Fox, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, Helen Marchik Goldman, Bernice Green, Lorna Hoffman, Susan Hammer, Seema Jaffe, Jerry Kane, Lori Kaplan, Lori LeMay, David Doody Messinger, Irene Neal, Richard Pascoe, Nancy Pfister, Curtis Lee Robinson, Rabbi Kenneth Roseman, Laura Marie Rosen, Barbara Rudnicki, Victor Ratner, Fred Retchen, Ron Roth, Lorraine Samuel, Ruth Silen, Marilyn Silver, Francis Singer, Alice Sklar, Sandra Sokolek, Bruce Summer. We also think of the following yahrzeits on this Shabbat, as we think of Benjamin Aronowitz, Ben Averick, Charles Broder, Zelda Brust, Bela Bryman, Mark Emanuel, Max Feldman, Lena Fink, Milton Fox, George Friedman, Stuart A. Holstein, Gerald W. Hunter, Henny Just, Molly Kadish, Estelle Kramer, Minnie Levine, Leon Lifshitz, Joel Lauren, Alan Loth, Joe Marchik, Anna Meyerfeld, Morris Myers, Adele Panikoff, Israel Port, Sidney Resnick, John Resnikoff, Riva Rothenberg, Moritz Golden Roy, Dr. David G. Roy, Jack Rubenstein, Arthur Shimek, Molly Shute, Jane Schwartz, Perla Supak, Jonathan Sievers, David Silen, Boomy Silverman, Arthur Spector, Rita Stoner, Cecil Weintraub, Gertrude Wolfe, Ruth Zenver. Zichronam Livracha, may the memories of all of our loved ones endure as a blessing, as we continue with Mourner's Kaddish.
יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה, בעלמא דברה חירותי והמליך מלכותי, בחייכון וביומכון ובחיי דכל בית ישראל, בעגלה וזמן קריב אמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה מבורך לעולם עולמי עלמיה, יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא, ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי דקודשה ברכו, לעולם מכל ברכתה ושירתה, tushbechata v'nechemata, da'amiran be'elma v'imru, amen. Yehi Shlomo Rabba Mishemaya, v'chayim aleinu v'kol Yisrael, v'imru, amen. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu v'kol Yisrael, v'imru, amen.
Oseh shalom.